In 1873, Parliament authorised the building of a railway from Didcot in Oxfordshire to the south coast port town of Southampton. The initial plans incorporated for a line heading south from Didcot, whereby at Compton a branch would have connected East Ilsley before heading on towards Newbury, but no connection as the Great Western Railway still operated broad gauge at the time. Then, from the Berkshire town, it was to proceed into Hampshire and arrive at Whitchurch, where a loop would connect it to the London and South Western Railways line between Basingstoke and Salisbury. Continuing, it would then join up with the London and South Western Railway again, this time just north of Micheldever on the main London to Southampton route. By 1878, however, the plans had changed, and Newbury was added as an interchange and the route slightly altered. And so, beginning at the northern end, on August the 26th, 1879, work commenced on the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway. The first section between Didcot and Newbury opened in 1882, and with an enthusiasm the company applied for permission to outline their route all the way to a new proposed terminal here at the Royal Pier in Southampton. Now, going to the National Library of Scotland maps, we see Southampton in 1895, and here is the Royal Pier, which, as you can see, already had a station upon it served by London and South Western services connecting Southampton docks. Southampton's coastline, however, looked very different in 1895, as it was not until the 1920s and 30s that the western docks were constructed, thus reclaiming all of the tidal mudflats to the west into land. Hugging the coastline, the route would have hypothetically headed north on what surely must have been a planned causeway, as little land was available. At Bargate, another station was proposed. That site now sits beneath the West Quay shopping centre. From there, the line turned to the west, directly south of the London and South Western Railway's Southampton West Station, today's Central Station, and on an elevated level in order to allow it to cross over West Station as it headed north again. As we head away from West Station, have a look at these raised earthworks on the map. They show what appears to be an embankment. And that is exactly what it is. Still here today, it was constructed to receive trains to and from the Royal Pier. Trains which never arrived. Continuing, other stations were to be built at Shirley, Chilworth, Albrook and Twyford. A new line was also to be built connecting Burghclere and the Great Western Main Line at Aldermaston, but this was at the cost of abandoning the Whitchurch Loop, enabling an additional station in the town to be built to serve the line, and the Compton to East Ilsley branch. 1885 saw the line reach Winchester, with the Chesil, later renamed Chesil station, opening, but amidst the celebrations, finances were low and the company were in real trouble. With this in mind, the proposed Burghclere to Aldermaston line was scrapped, as were any hopes of independently reaching Southampton. Now in a desperate situation, with a line starting at Didcot and terminating at Winchester, they were still some 13 miles from their desired destination and almost bankrupt. To reach Southampton, the London and South Western Railway offered an olive branch and planned to build a short link from Winchester Chesil and link it to the South Western Main Line. This opened in October 1891 and joined the main line here at Shawford Junction, a short distance north of Shawford Station. Services began shortly after completion, but with no trains or staff of their own, an agreement was reached with the Great Western Railway to operate trains between Didcot and Winchester, whereby the locomotive would be replaced by a London and South Western one and operated by their staff to complete its journey to the now closed Southampton terminus. From Shawford Junction, the line's southern extremity, I'll head north to reveal what remains in 2024. The site of Shawford Junction is now unrecognisable, obliterated by the M3 extension in the 1980s, with its elevated roadway built almost on top of it. This overhead view allows us to see just how it fits into today's landscape. So here, running from east to west and tucked in its cutting, is today's South Western Main Line. And here is the route of the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway as it diverges north. This postcard, dated 1906, shows the junction as it was, looking north towards Winchester. So a very short distance from our junction, which is just up there, we come to the line's first feature, and what a feature it is. We come to Hockley Viaduct. Originally known as Shawford Viaduct, Hockley opened to rail traffic in October 1891, breaching the River Itchen and its various connecting streams and water meadows. Of concrete construction with brick cladding, it boasts 33 arches and a total length of 2,014 feet. And we're lucky it's still here, as in 1984 the council planned to call the army in to blow it up, a scheme which was only thwarted after local objection. In 2018 it was reopened as part of the National Cycle Network. Along its length you'll find two memorials, both in the guise of signals. This, the first that we come to, was placed in honour of the railway employees who oversaw some 16,000 trains across the viaduct in the 12 months prior to D-Day on the 6th of June 1944. Although not original to this location, I'm sure you'll agree that it's a welcome addition. The other is original, in the guise of a London and South Western signal base, and once the down junction signal protecting Shawford Junction. Today, as the accompanying sign states, is dedicated to the Allied soldiers who passed over Hockley by train en route to the Avington military camp just to the east of Winchester during the First World War. On leaving this wonderfully restored viaduct behind us, we begin the real exploration of this line and immediately come across another relic. This telegraph pole is original and in its original position and was restored along with the viaduct. I've seen plenty of stumps but never one intact, so this is a first for me. It's time to take our first look at a map, and as usual we'll turn to the National Library of Scotland, and we're looking at the modern landscape just to the south of Winchester. So let's add today's southwestern main line and then the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway as it branches north from Shawford Junction, and then Hockley Viaduct. Now, I am currently here and it's time to get my boots muddy and get in amongst the trees. Now, this is clearly a former road and you can still see the markings. Anyway, this is known as Five Bridges Road, presumably named as there's that many bridges over and under it. And this in front of me is one of them, or rather the remains of one. But it's still quite impressive nonetheless. And it still retains all of its brickwork upon the abutments. And all that's really missing is the deck which once spanned the gap. Now, looking up there, and the parapet is evident, and I'm assuming that the other one is still there as well amongst those bushes that you can see. And then on the northern side, well that's pretty much a duplicate. Now I think I can scramble up the bank here, so let's have a look and see if I can. Now there is a route, but it might be death defying. Let's see how we go. Nettles on standby. And even walking here on this bank, there's a lot of ballast, which is a good sign. Hell of a lot of ballast. Look at all this. And I'm almost out. Ow, been stung. And there we go. So that's the top of our bridge there, going back towards Hockley and Shawford Junction. And here is a huge amount of ballast. Look at all that. And we're on top of this quite high embankment. So let's have a look and see what we can find up here. It looks like a bit of a worn path, so I don't know whether people come up here for whatever reasons. And I can see something just ahead in the trees. In fact, that looks very much like a bridge to me. Got to avoid the nettles and nasty things. And I've seen something before the bridge which is very, very impressive. We have another telegraph pole. This one obviously fallen. Can't see the base of it, but there you can see it. And right on the end we have the supports which carried the cables. In fact, the cable is still attached to it. Let's get round here, get a better shot. There you go, wonderful stuff. You've got the porcelain pot on it. And some ornate decoration. Is that a lightning conductor? That's a great find. So back onto the track bed and this cracking bridge. Let's go up here, show you about the graffiti. I think this went over marshland or tributaries from, I think it was the River Itchen, which fed into the Itchen. And look at that, that's beautiful. It's almost untouched. So yeah, it looks pretty marshy down there. Let's jump down into the middle. So still, it's pretty good condition considering you've got a bit of corrugated iron on the sides which is a bit rusted away, but the girders look pretty sound. there's a path down here, and I think we can probably get beneath the bridge and have a look there. So let's scramble down here. Yep, we can. So that's pretty handy. Just down this bit. And there we go, we're underneath our bridge, which I think is, I mean, you can see it's marshland. This is probably a tributary from a river. It's a bit dry at the moment, but you can see our bridge there, look, and it's in just as good condition from the outside as it is up there. That is a decent find. So I'm back up on the bridge and the track bed once more, and I'll head this way again to see what else there is to find. The one thing I have noticed is there appears to be a lack of ballast now. Mind you, on saying that, I've just spotted a load over there on the edge of the embankment. Duck through these trees. And there comes the ballast is back, so it's probably just been squashed in here. Well, when people walk along it, it looks, like I said, a well-worn path. And I've also just spotted over there stump of a telegraph. In fact, yes, you've got a stump of a telegraph pole, and then you've got here, look, an old piece of rail sticking up vertically. Now that's set in concrete. What on earth was that? A signpost maybe? We've got something else this side, nearly went over, and that appears to be metal. Was this a gate? I don't know. It's very sheer. I mean, if you look over the edge there, I wouldn't want to go down there. You'd need a ladder. I wonder what that was. But yeah, a whole bit of rail and concrete. Alright, carry on. Now, I know I'm not far from another bridge, so I think what I'll do, I'll head back down the bank and I'll take a look at that bridge from below. So I've come down off the embankment now. Remember, our way was blocked, and up there is as far as I got. So we've come down again, and here we have another bridge, another arch bridge. This one a bit different to the last one, and we're very fortunate to have all these relics still intact. So our line obviously crosses above my head, and our embankment continues up there, and I don't think I'm going to get any access up there. So one thing I've noticed whilst we're walking along this path, there's our track bed up there on top of the embankment, hard to see through the undergrowth, but here we've got this concrete and metal structure, and this is a chain marker. Now the railway, even to this day, is measured in miles and chains, so 80 chains equals 1 mile, and these are placed in the track, one of these at every chain length. And I've noticed, so we got a few we've passed already. We've got another one there. Clearly they're not in their original position, well, they can only have come from up there on the track. We got another one there, and we got another one up there, and so on. So beside the magnificent St Catherine's Hill, which is up there, and our line would have come through here. Now where you got some trees up there, that's the end of the embankment, and those trees there, that's where the embankment starts again, and the embankment used to carry on through here. And obviously it's been completely cleared away, landscaped over the years. At this point here where you got the St Catherine's Hill bridge, a board would have been a small bridge. I think this was a footpath even when the railway was there to access the hill. So I think it's here you have had a bridge, so we would have had our embankment continuing all the way through here up to those trees up there, which today has been landscaped away. I'm walking along the footpath towards Winchester that is adjacent to our track bed. Our track bed is just there, about head height in this embankment. I've tried to get in there on several of occasions, but it's too impenetrable. You can get in but you can't walk along it, so I think we'll give that up. However, here we have something extremely interesting. We have a milepost. I don't think I've encountered one of these in any of the films that I've done so far. Now luckily we've got a little bit of a plaque here which says it's a 26.25 mile post from Newbury. Now without the plaque being there, so obviously 26 denotes the mileage, this little marker here indicates 1/4 mile, so then you'd have had another one 1/4 mile on that way, and you've had another marker there, then another one 1/4 mile further on with a third marker, and then 1/4 mile on from that one you'd have had one with 27 on. So each one of these denotes 1/4 mile. So returning to a more urban scene the closer we get to Winchester, and we see by this small bridge which crosses another path up to St Catherine's Hill is Handlebars Cafe, and it's been built up on the embankment and trackbed, and inside are some good pictures of the line, and they also do a very good black coconut ice cream. So climbing up onto the trackbed once more, we're going to cross over Garnier Road Street Bridge. That's just in front of, oh, just out of the corner of my eye, I just spotted those. Look, we've got some concrete sleepers. How many have we got? We've got 1, 2, got 3 there, just been dumped. Now the question I would ask, did the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton line use concrete sleepers? Anyone let me know? Anyway, we cross over the very high-sided bridge here at Garnier Road, and I wonder if it was a lot lower in the middle. But anyway, fortunately it's been paved over. The track bed has been paved over so we can walk along it. Look, there's Tony. So let's carry on and see what we can find on the way and see how far this footpath takes us. We haven't got very far, but the map tells us that this convenient footpath we're walking on diverges slightly from the track bed. So while, if you look ahead, the path starts sliding off to the left, our track bed is here in front of us and it starts moving off to the right, which might prove a bit of a problem for following it. However, more treasure spotted. We've got some brickwork there, I saw just back there. In fact, we got quite a lot of, so we've got some rubble here. Oh, in fact we got lots of rubble. So we've got some concrete there, but over here some concrete and some brickwork. I reckon that is the remains of a plate layer's hut, and look at the amount of ballast that we've got heaped up here. So I think what we've got here is the remains of a plate layer's hut. I think also, so your track bed where I'm standing would have probably come along there, and then it starts going off into the trees while our footpath diverges off to the left. So coming off the existing track bed, which is in those trees there, we come into this clearing area, and this is the southern end of the Barfield area, but then was known as Bar End, and it was Bar End Goods Yard. So our line would have come through here. You can see the extremities on that side and that side to accommodate the expansion of all the sidings that would have appeared here. Now today in 2023 it's largely been redeveloped. The actual shape of the goods yard itself still exists, and you can see it from overhead, and there are a couple of reminders still in existence which we'll have a look at in a minute. But so here I am at the heart of the former Bar End goods yard. Over there used to be a turntable where those trees are now, completely, site completely eradicated. In front of us we've got a wonderful goods shed which we'll have a bit of a look at in a minute, and then over there on the western side you can see the extremity of the goods yard. This would have all been sidings, etc. And in fact, if we poke the camera through the gate, if I'm not mistaken, they look like railway sleepers forming the wall. Now for this beautiful remnant of the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway, this wonderful goods shed, still fully extant. And if you look up here, you see the brackets where an awning used to come across, you know, the classic platform canopy, the white canopy affair. So this is where goods would have been loaded from road to rail. And there's even an area here, so there's our loading dock there. So if you get past this car, so you can see there, that would have been platform level, lorries back up onto here, load their goods and then onto the trains. And then up there, two more brackets where there used to be the awning. It's in remarkably good condition. So heading north now, we come to the almost the end of Bar End Goods Yard. There's one more thing I need to show you. So you can see the extremities coming in now, the pinch point where it's going back to just the two lines. But over here was the site of the engine shed, and part of the original wall still exists. So you see we've got the white bricks topped by the more modern one. The white bricks are part of the original where we're going east wall of the engine shed here at Bar End. So something still exists. I think I'll have to look in the book, but I think it was just a single road engine shed, so probably came out to approximately here, I would imagine. But it's good to have something that still exists. And then if we continue north, let's cross the road again. So our track bed now, as you can see, has been replaced by a road. Now that I'm entering somewhere busier, I'll return to the National Library of Scotland map, and here is the modern overhead view of Bar End. The car park I entered earlier can be found here, and you can see the basic shape of the railway yard is very much evident. Now, to give some context, we'll go back to 1896 with the line a mere 11 years old, and immediately the area transforms. The up and down running lines are confined to the western edge, and if we move to the north end of the yard, the position of the goods shed that we just looked at is shown. And also the map confirms that the engine shed, where I showed you the existing wall, had just a single road inside it. So it's not until you get close to this bridge that you realise just how wide it is. I think the road up there is called Quarry Road, and it's probably not too far off being classed as a tunnel. Very difficult to imagine trains going through here. Obviously been a road for quite some considerable time. And now as we exit the bridge's north entrance, we come into the Chesil, or Chesil as it used to be known, and the approaches to Chesil / Chesil station, which is just ahead of me. So we now arrive at our first station stop, and that's Winchester Chesil. So over to my right, where these trees can be found, was the site of a signal box. We've got this lovely wooden bridge above us, and that was there when the station was here. Over here we've got the location of where a small bay platform used to be, So it would have, the buffers would have been approximately here, and it would have extended not far out that way. Over here we would have had our down platform approximately where I'm standing now, and the platform would have continued into what is now Chesil car park. And then we've got our up platforms, which would have been found approximately here, and once again would have gone into where this building of the car park now stands. So to follow to the other side of the car park and any further, and where the site of the station was, we have to go through and out the other end of Chesil car park. Before we take a look at the station's north end, let's have a look at the map again and gain a perspective of the station's position on today's view. So here's our overhead, and then we'll add the track's route. The brown area of track at the top is where the line enters Chesil Tunnel, and here I'll add the approximate positions of the platforms. This is Chesil Street, just to the east of the station site, and this road turning left in front of me gives a clue as to its former use. Now, walking up this road some 70 years ago or so, and by this point you would have probably caught sight of the station frontage just to the right, behind, you know, where you can see the car park today. Now I'm climbing up this tortuous hill known as St Giles Hill for two reasons. One is to get round the back and get a good view over the top of the site of Chesil Station. The second is to have a look at this house here, because that is the old station master's house for Chesil Station, and luckily it's still standing. So, still climbing on St Giles Hill. Chesil is down there, quite a distance as well, drop that is. The thing I've come to show you up here, we've got a fence here, and here we have broad gauge track. See it there and there, and these were clearly used. So Chesil was the changing point between the Great Western Railway and the London South Western Railway. Just getting my breath back. And obviously in 1892 broad gauge was phased out, and so at a good point of recycling, the track was used to make lots and lots and lots of fence posts, and there's a few more up here. So here is another of those broad gauge pieces of broad gauge track reused as a fence post, and it leads onto, you remember the thin bridge we saw when we entered the site of Chesil Station? There's another one there. Well, this is the access on top of that bridge, another bit of broad gauge, and so on. And then we get onto this small bridge, and ironically straight away you can see it's obviously been repainted since the railway closed, but it's still in the colours of the Great Western Railway, and possibly this to emulate the London and South Western. So let's have a look over the side. So there we have the track bed, the line coming from the south, from Shawford Junction, that bridge that we went under. And north, so our platforms would have been starting around this area here, the down platform there and the up platform there. So we're now at the back of Chesil car park. Our down platform right here on this site here, and our up platform just here. And in front of us we have the Chesil tunnel, and we've got a bit of a hole